Welcome back to Crawford-Clark Close-Up. Despite having a movie career that dates back to the early 1980s in TV movies like Introducing Janet and Copper Mountain, Canadian-born James Eugene Jim Carrey's big break came 25 years ago in 1994 with a string of successful performances, from the irreverent Ace Ventura Pet Detective to rubber-faced Stanley Ipkiss in The Mask, to award-winning and worthy performances as Truman Burbank in 1998's The Truman Show and Joel Barish in Charlie Kaufman's mind-bending Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. With over 40 feature films under his belt, Carrey's versatility has made him one of the highest box office earners. Nevertheless, he's admittedly a Marmite actor. We're guessing you're a lover rather than a hater, just like us, if you're watching this particular review, as we count down our personal top 10 Jim Carrey performances. We've narrowed the list down not only to Carrey's performances in these films, but our enjoyment of each film. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below and your own personal favourite Jim Carrey performances. There were over 40 of them to choose from for this video, whilst the sequel that nobody really wanted, Dumb and Dumber 2, or The Number 23, or even Kick-Ass 2 were never going to figure in our top 10, 1996's underrated The Cable Guy and 2008's enjoyable Yes Man were close runners-up. Alright, let's get started. Kicking off the list at number 10 is Me, Myself and Irene. Having worked with Carrey as their star attraction on the superior Dumb and Dumber 6 years earlier, the Farrelly brothers returned to direct, and Carrey is on insane form in the dual role of repressed cop Charlie, always aiming to please, and his alter ego Hank, who is the manifestation of Charlie's repressed thoughts and emotions. It's gross out yet has some heart, and Carrey and co-star Renée Zellweger have good chemistry on screen, but essentially, it's a lesser performance in Carrey's filmography. At number 9, it's Bruce Almighty. Based loosely on the 1991 novel Almighty Me by Robert Borsch, Carrey reunited with director Tom Shadyac for a third feature after Ace Ventura Pet Detective and Liar Liar for this 2003 comedy, which saw him play Bruce Nolan, a down-on-his-luck reporter at a local television network who gains divine inspiration when he comes into contact with Morgan Freeman's perfectly cast God. It sounds schmaltzy, and with anyone other than Carrey driving the film forward, it would probably be a mess, but it works. It's a funny and engaging 90 minutes that showcases more than just goofing from the main man. Little piece of trivia for you fact fans: the monkey in the alleyway scene, the anal-dwelling butt monkey, is the same monkey that was used to play Marcel, Ross's pet, in Friends. In at number 8, and forgive us for putting this one so low, there are more great Carrey performances than you'd probably realise, it's Ace Ventura Pet Detective. The first of the Ace films and the first movie to catapult Carrey into stardom, Ventura is everything you want from a Carrey performance. Killer one-liners, great catchphrases, charisma by the bucket load, and a tight story. Alrighty then. The number 7 performance in our Jim Carrey top 10 goes to Man on the Moon. Correctly lauded by critics for his on-point depiction of the late, irreverent Andy Kaufman, Carrey gives at times an unrecognisable performance that's up there as one of his most creative and nuanced. It's an offbeat comedy drama that's a little too long, but demonstrates some of Jim's most accomplished acting to date. At number 6, it's a film that most people probably don't remember or have never felt the need to see, this reviewer included, until very recently. It's The Majestic. After his directorial duties on two of the best films of the 1990s, The Shawshank Redemption and The Green Mile, Frank Darabont brought audiences a drama with an unusually reserved, laid-back performance from Carrey as a post-war Hollywood B-movie writer, until he loses his job and, following a car accident, winds up being taken in by a town who believe he is a war veteran who's been missing for the last decade. Once again, the material can get a little saccharine at times, and the film is overlong, but Carrey is captivating from the outset, director Darabont framing him front and centre throughout almost the entire film, and he gives a touching performance. The sequence in which he's unable to tell his father that he isn't actually his son on said father's deathbed is some of Carrey's best acting in his career. It's a heart-wrenching performance and vastly underrated. Let's be honest, we're all just used to Carrey gurning and parading across the screen. But just seek this film out if you've never seen it. You'll be very surprised. Into the top 5, we start with A Power Tool is Not a Toy. Unfamiliar? How about its non-working title, Dumb and Dumber? Yes, the film that most studios bar New Line Cinemas deemed too ridiculous a pitch in the early 90s. It's now considered a comedy classic, and for good reason. It's a buddy movie with two of the best buddies in Carrey's Lloyd Christmas and Jeff Daniels' Harry Dunn. Jeff Daniels gives as good as he can get against Carrey's eccentricities, and the two bounce off each other perfectly. It's amazing to think that Lloyd and Harry were originally offered to Steve Martin and Martin Short. Carrey is at his comedic height in this film, moronic to the extreme, yet there's always heart behind the madness. It's a shame, therefore, that they almost destroyed the brilliance of the first with a disappointing sequel 2 decades later. At number 4, we have the first of 4 films made with Jim Carrey in 1994, his breakout year, The Mask. Carrey is both repressed bank employee Stanley Ipkiss, smitten by newcomer Cameron Diaz's dazzling Tina Carlisle, but never able to impress, and wisecracking rubber-faced The Mask, who sweeps Tina off her feet and shows Edge City a good time. This is the film where a fresh-faced Carrey really hit the big time and was starting to come into his own, and he gives a well-balanced performance in great material. It's also the only one of Carrey's early performances where he correctly decided not to reprise the role for a sequel years down the line. Carrey's Ipkiss is ultimately a likeable character, and the performance is full of energy and colour. Into the top 3, and the bronze place goes to Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. After winning the Golden Globe for Best Actor in a Comedy Drama for The Truman Show, Charlie Kaufman and Michel Gondry's mind-bending Spotless Mind was clearly Carrey's first real big shot for the Oscar. Sadly, this wasn't to be, though his co-star Kate Winslet would find herself with a nomination. The title, based on an Alexander Pope poem, goes a long way in summarising the complex plot in one sentence, and Carrey and Winslet sparkle together in 2 of the respective actors' very best roles. Joel meets plucky Clementine and embarks on a relationship with her, until the relationship becomes sour and Joel discovers that Clementine has undergone a procedure to have him removed from her memories. On learning this, Joel decides to have the same procedure done, but when things go wrong, deeper subconscious levels of his psyche begin to open up, and Clementine is still an invading presence. I've had to write academically about this film and study it thoroughly, and it still holds up as one of the most nuanced performances in Carrey's filmography. There's just 2 others that appeal to this reviewer more. And in second place is Carrey's best comedic performance, balancing the funny and the heartfelt just perfectly in his second collaboration with director Tom Shadyac on 1997's Liar Liar. Playing a divorced lawyer who never seems to be there as a father to his young son, Fletcher Reed gets the shock of his life when his son makes a wish on his birthday that for one day his dad can't tell a lie. Hilarity ensues as Fletcher has to take on one of the biggest court cases of his career whilst battling to keep his son, who is gradually slipping away from him. Carrey brings a great humanity to the role of Fletcher, and it's one of his most entertaining performances and also most heartfelt. The film also contains some of the best outtakes of any film. Carrey is on top form here and clearly seems to be relishing the more grounded material. And we come to our favourite Jim Carrey performance in an eclectic back catalogue of hits, and it's, of course, The Truman Show. I've already reviewed the film on this channel, labelling it a masterpiece, and it really is Carrey's best work from a wide body of material. Carrey is Truman Burbank, a reality TV experiment who starts to unravel the truth behind his fake life. The performance is not without comic moments, but Carrey's Truman breaks hearts, and his redemption in the final act is still one of the best movie moments of all time. So, there you have it, our rundown of our favourite Jim Carrey performances. As always, these lists are subjective. I'm sure we all have very different ideas of Carrey's best work, so let us know your opinions and your top 10 Carrey performances in the comments below, and if you enjoyed this review, please subscribe to Crawford-Clark Close-Up at the top of the page for more regular content. You can also come and find us on Facebook and Twitter, and you can email us your suggestions for future reviews to crawfordclarkcloseup@gmail.com. Coming very soon, it's our review of Pixar's latest, Toy Story 4, and the name's Bond. James Bond. Our countdown to the upcoming Bond 25 begins with our 007 retrospective. It all starts on the 26th of June. As Carrey would say, have a beautiful day, and until next time, that's a wrap.